If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, hit it right now before you go any further. Alright, so remember we'll be going based on the CSEC biology syllabus. Let's get started. So we're going to first differentiate between biodegradable and non-biodegradable materials. So when we're speaking about biodegradable materials, we think about waste from living organisms. For example, vegetable peelings, waste from food industries, farm waste. It can be composted as organic fertilizers or converted to biogas. So compost is made by decomposing organic materials into a simpler organic and inorganic compound, and we call the process composting. So remember that fertilizers are that substance that we use on soil to increase plant growth. And biogas is a mixture of gases produced by the breakdown of organic matter in absence of oxygen. And it primarily consists of methane, about 70% of methane, and some carbon dioxide. We can use biogas as fuel. Now, non-biodegradable materials can be reprocessed and reused. For example, repulping paper, glass and metals, such as iron, steel, tin, and also plastic. We're going to speak about the 3 R's of the environment: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So reduce, using less of, buying less of, avoiding waste. So turning off the lights when they're not being used, taking shorter showers, carpooling with a friend or a neighbor, walking, saving electricity. Reusing, using things more than once. So using reusable shopping bags to avoid plastic bags, repairing, regifting, composting, clothes, boxes, books, those are all things that can be reused by another person. Recycling, separating waste materials so that recyclable products can be transformed into something new. For example, water bottles, soda cans, newspapers, those are things that can be recycled. So we're going to go through some more examples. So let's start again with reducing materials. So buying products that can be reused rather than thrown away, for example, rechargeable batteries. Buying products with little packaging, avoiding disposable items, buying in bulk when possible. Reducing paper waste by printing or writing on both sides of the paper. Buy non-toxic products in order to reduce hazardous waste. Donating unwanted items to shelters or children's homes instead of throwing them away. Turning off the lights, taking shorter showers that we spoke about, and saving electricity, carpooling. So some examples of reusing materials. Carrier bags can be reused in shops when you go into the supermarket. Jars and pots can be cleaned and used as storage containers. Newspaper, cardboard, bubble wraps can be used as packaging material. Old clothes can be donated to charity shops. The twist ties that you even get when you buy electrical appliances, it can be used to secure loose items together, such as wires. Even wood can be used in wood crafts. So examples of recycling materials, for example, glass, bottles, paper, cardboard, plastics, even textiles, metal, wood. You can buy products that are made from recycled materials. Recycled bins should be kept in obvious places so you won't forget to use it. Composting in your own garden is an excellent way of recycling kitchen and garden waste, decayed organic material used for fertilizer for growing plants. You can also use vegetable matter or manure in compost. So we're speaking about recycling, but what are the difficulties or the challenges that we face? Well, motivating persons to actually separate waste into different types. Most persons, they're too lazy or too tired or they can't bother, so they just throw the garbage into whichever bin they see next. Also, collection of the waste, transportation, storage. It's also very uneconomical and labor and energy intensive in most small countries who do not have the facilities to use the recycled raw materials. So in finishing up this first module in our CSEC biology syllabus, we need to look at the impact in the Caribbean of human activities. So removal of forests for industrial reasons such as building highways, residential areas, it can all lead to soil erosion, which is the removal of the top layer of the soil, low water resources, infertile soil due to increased removal of mineral salts by agriculture, crops, and leaching, loss of the natural habitat of many species, for example, the green parrot. Next, we're going to speak about mangrove swamps being destroyed in the Caribbean. A mangrove swamp is a distinct woodland or shrubland habitat formed by mangrove trees in brackish tidal waters. They are characterized by coastal environments where they serve as a home and sanctuary for thousands of aquatic birds and fishes. Mangrove swamps protect coastal areas from erosions, storm surge, especially during hurricanes and tsunamis. The mangrove's massive root systems are efficient at dissipating wave energy. So as they're being destroyed, you find that there's loss of a nursery ground for reef fish, breeding grounds for birds, example the egret, and loss of habitat for invertebrates, example the mangrove oyster. Coral reefs are some of the most diverse ecosystems in the world. Coral polyps, the animals responsible for building reefs, can take many forms. Thousands of species of corals have been discovered. Some live in warm, shallow tropical seas and others in the cold, dark depths of the ocean. Because of the diversity of life found in the habitats created by corals, reefs are often called the rainforest of the sea. About 25% of the ocean's fish depends on healthy coral reefs. Fishes and other organisms shelter, find food, reproduce, and rear their young in the many nooks and crannies formed by corals. Sadly, coral reefs are being destroyed because coral is being collected for sale, dynamited for fish, and dynamite fishing, as you see in this picture, shatters fragile coral colonies. Even the smallest piece of dynamite can blast a crater 2 to 3 feet in diameter. The blast kills coral tissues, and the surrounding rubble prevents adjacent coral colonies from recovery. If the shallow part of the reef is decimated by repeated blasts, it's impossible for the reef to recover. It can also be polluted by fertilizers, insecticides, raw sewage, industrial and home garbage. Deprived of air by silt from soil erosion, red mud waste from bauxite plants, dust, cement plants, and aquatic life is lost. Destroyed reefs lead to coastal erosion, and this will eventually affect tourism. The reef fish have been found to have decreased numbers because of overfishing, reef and mangrove swamp destruction, as we spoke about already, and dynamiting for fish. So the green parrot is found in the tropical South America, Caribbean regions of Colombia, Venezuela, and Trinidad. It has been introduced in Jamaica, Curacao, Barbados, and Tobago. They are the only parrotlet species to occur in the Caribbean. Unfortunately, the green parrot is practically extinct due to killing for food, catching for export, and removal of the forests in which they inhabit. So in science, for every problem we want to find solutions. So we're going to discuss a few solutions to conserving and restoring Earth. So the first solution is to reduce pollution. Of course, we know that it's impossible for there to be absolutely no pollution, but we can at least do our part by reducing pollution. And we can do this by stop burning fossil fuels and use alternative non-polluting energy sources such as solar energy, wind energy, wave energy, biogas, hydroelectricity. We want to ban harmful insecticides and herbicides and replace them with biodegradable insecticides or use biological control where we introduce animals or predators into the environment to get rid of pests. We also want to use unleaded petrol, treat all sewage, purify effluent from factories, ban the use of so-called disposable bottles and use recyclable materials, and improve the standard of safety for nuclear reactors. So we can also conserve on natural resources, and we can do this by using alternative energy sources, which we've already mentioned, such as solar energy. Also, recycling resources such as paper, glass, and metal. Replacing renewable resources, example, reforestation, which is where we replant trees immediately after removing them from the soil. Imposing closed seasons and size restriction on harvesting overfished species such as sea eggs, lobsters. Setting up fish farming and aquaculture programs, example, lobster and shrimp. There are actually multiple ways in which we can conserve soil, which we spoke about in depth in the soil lecture. For example, reforestation, contour plowing, and crop rotation. Protecting endangered species is very important. These species are at risk of extinction. So banning the killing of such species, example the green parrot, the West Indian manatee, and turtles, as well as setting up breeding programs for species in danger of extinction, and setting up national parks as well. Improving land used in mining, for example, by replacing vegetation, and fill the mined areas with soil that can be used for agriculture. Another way in which we can conserve and restore the environment is restoring production on infertile land, that is, land that is not amenable to plant growth. And lastly, prevent upsetting the balance of nature. These solutions can lead to a happier, healthier environment. And that's the end of the lecture. I want you guys to comment below, how do you conserve your environment? If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to click the subscribe button, like the video, share with a friend, and I'll see you in the next lecture.